we're able to broadcast tonight because last week we had some issues with our broadcast. So I want to welcome you here, and I have a special guest who is joining us this evening, and I want to say welcome to Tammi Morrison. Tammi, welcome to Teen Talk Live.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you're here. And again, you know, I'm a little tentative because last week we had so many challenges with the broadcast. We had some technical difficulties, but I'm hoping that things will go well tonight. And if it doesn't, we'll just start over and we'll get technical support. Okay. All right. So
all right, sounds good.
Yes, we'll work it out. So Tammi is my special guest, and she is a best-selling author. And gosh, I'm so delighted that you are here. And tell me a little bit about yourself, Tammi.
All right. I am a mother, a wife, a grandmother. I have been a nurse for 25 years. And now I am transitioning into being a best-selling author and also an intuitive healer.
Okay, wonderful.
So I absolutely enjoy doing this type of thing because I know that it's necessary. And I thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let me just share with my audience how I came to know Tammi. Tammi is in the anthology Unchain Me Mama. Now, for me, I see Unchain Me Mama as the big sister of the anthology that I'm in, that we're getting ready to release, and that's called Unchain My Legacy, right? So Tam, and this is the visionary author for this is Audra R. Upchurch, and she is just dynamic. And I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to work with Audra. So Tammi, tell me a little bit about why did you choose to be a part of the anthology Unchain Me Mama?
So I saw a post that Audra had put out in, I think it was Coach Speak and Serve group.
Okay.
And it's crazy how I actually even became a part of that group, because I know that it was just God, you know, because I actually was a part of that group, and I saw the post that she put out, you know, wanting people to share stories about their mother and saying that she was doing an anthology. Well, I actually at the time wasn't even sure what an anthology was. So of course, you know, being a Google girl, I Googled it and I said, okay, so it's, you know, it's a collection of stories. So I responded to the post, and then I had an interview with Audra, and she said, I really would like for you to be a part of this project. And I said, okay. Now, at this time, I still wasn't sure that, you know, I even had a story, you know, but I knew that somewhere inside of me, I knew that it was something that I needed to do, you know, and not even sure if I was able to do it. You know, I mean, I was really just unsure, but you know, the type of person I am, if I feel it intuitively, I just jump. So I jumped, and that's how I became a part of Unchain Me Mama. And you know, I had the discussion even with my mother about doing the story. I was a little nervous because I didn't know what she would think, but I really honestly didn't care. I just thought she should know. You know, it wasn't going to affect my decision.
So so, you know, this is what I found that was really intriguing about Unchain Me Mama, because I've read some of the stories, and oh my gosh, if you all are catching us on the replay, or if you're here with us, just say hello so I know that you were here or that you joined us. But you've got to get this collection of stories. It is just amazing. The first one took me out. That was written by BT, a Black Therapist Rock founder, Duran Young. And that story, I had, like you said earlier, I had to put it down because it just took me all the way out. Because it's not popular to talk about for girls really to talk about your relationship with your moms. It's not really popular, but yet we all have issues. We have mommy issues. We have issues with our moms, but there's not been a platform set for us to have that dialogue.
Right. And I felt like this was that platform. You know, I felt like it was like the start of a conversation that we need to have, you know, because, you know, we have mommy issues. Our girls have mommy issues with us, you know, and it's going to continue and continue and continue and continue. But I felt like this would open the conversation, and the stories were so diverse. You know, it was like, you know, one story was, you know, so terrible that, you know, we had to put it down. We couldn't even finish it, you know, because we couldn't understand, being mothers ourselves, you know, how a mother could do this, that, and the third and all this. However, you know, we have to understand that our mothers are still women, you know, and they, you know, some of them did the best they could, or some of them didn't do the best they could, but they did what they knew.
Right.
You know, and so this is one of the things that I knew would be something that definitely would have to be a conversation starter, because as women, we hold our mothers to higher standards and we hold them more accountable, you know, but as we get older and we realize, and we have our own children, we realize that they're still women and they deserve to be forgiven. You know, they deserve to be understood on the level that they were at.
Wow, that's really powerful. Last week I did an interview with my daughter, who's almost 29 now, and I think as she got older, yours too, right? As she got older, I think she started to see me not just as her mom, but a woman, and we're able to relate to each other in different ways. And she, you know, she said, "Mom, I know you did the best you could with what you knew." And I just really thanked her for the grace that she has extended to me as a mother. And I think that is so, so important.
Yes, yes, yes. And that was one of the things, you know, that I think that that book brought across, is that even though, you know, maybe your mother had whatever issue she had, you know, maybe she was mentally ill, or, you know, maybe she was, you know, experiencing hurt in her own life. But, you know, once we get older, we have to grow up and extend that grace, you know, because they had their own shit they were dealing with, you know, and they still were raising us.
Right, right. And so one of my mentors shared with me this weekend, you know, he was saying to me, he was saying when he looked at his mom and dad and he thought about all the things that he had gone through with them, and his friends called it abuse, but he chose not to put that narrative on his treatment. And he, you know, he really shared and said, he looked at his parents and they were in the beginning stages of Alzheimer's. And he looked at them and just said, what have they gone through? How did they come to this point? You know, and that is such a really powerful question. And like you brought out, that is something really important to ask, you know, while we're saying, you know, you did this, you did that. At what point do we take responsibility for ourselves too, and our actions as adults, and choose whether or not we're going to release them, give them grace, or even examine what did they have to endure that brought them to that point.
Yes, that is a wonderful point, you know, because we, as adults, we have a responsibility, you know, because as children, we're, you know, everything is about us. Everything is all about us. It's about us. It's about us. It's about us as a child. But when we grow up and we become women and men, you know, we have to look and see, hey, you know, this is a real person. This is not just my mom. She was not just put here to be my mom. You know, she's a real person. She had hurts, she had disappointments, and especially as Black women, it's a whole nother ball game. You know, we have hurts and we have things that we have to deal with on a whole deeper level than other cultures have to deal with. You know, there was something that somebody was asking on one of the Facebook groups I'm in about starting the conversation with people of color and this, that, and the third and stuff. And I said, well, you know, I shared something that I thought was, you know, really, that would really make people see and understand how Black mothers have to, you know, protect their children. You know, I have 2 boys and I have to protect my children. I had to speak to them when they were 15, getting ready to drive and all this stuff, and have this conversation with them. When you are stopped by the police, what do you do?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Okay, so other people's cultures don't have to have that conversation. They have no idea.
Right.
You know? So I said that to say that it's the same way with, you know, our mothers. You know, they had different struggles that they had with, you know, with trying to protect us, you know, some of them, you know, trying to just allow us to live, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it was different things. And as we get older, we stop and we look at that. You know, just like I had to have that discussion with my boys. Okay, this is what you do when the police stop you so that you can continue to be alive.
Right.
You know, because you're, you know, young Black males, we live in the suburbs. You know, this is what you have to do. You know, I don't want to hear no stuff. You know, put your hands on the steering wheel. Don't move until they tell you to move. You know, these type of things. And this is the conversation that we have to have.
Right.
Well, our mothers had to have different conversations with us, you know, as well, related to some of the same type of incidents and the same type of things. And then we don't know, when we have to think as we get older, we see how they felt.
Right.
You know,
Oh wow. It makes me wonder, even if they even have or had spaces to have these conversations.
Right. And the thing is, you know, and anytime I find one, I try to bring it out, you know, because that is definitely something. You know, I have friends that are all different cultures, and you know, we have this conversation. They ask, well, you know, when you see them shooting down another brother, you know, what is that about, and this, that, and the third, and I'll just tell them, and I have that same discussion. Hey, when your child was this age, did you have to tell them this? No. You know, how did you feel? You know, how would you feel if you had to say this to them? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But these are discussions that we have to have with our children. And the thing is, you know, for me to have that discussion and say that to them, it made me feel some kind of way.
Right.
Okay, so our parents, you know, have to feel some kind of way about some of the things that they have to tell us and they have to do and protect us, and, you know, and show us that maybe they shouldn't have to, but they do.
You know, that's so important, because, you know, having this conversation with you is helping me to think about, you know, I don't know that I've thought about the historical trauma that our parents have had to endure. I mean, I know that my mom, for example, have gone through some stuff because of me, because of being pregnant with me out of wedlock. You know, I know that she's had to endure some stuff, right? But I didn't necessarily think about the historical trauma piece that, as a Black woman, she was faced with.
Right. And see, these are things that, you know, you can stuff them, and you know that as a therapist, but at some point, stuff leaks out.
It's gonna find its way out.
Yes.
And it's not gonna be pretty.
No, exactly. Right. And it's traumatic. You know what I mean? And sometimes sometimes it governs how they act and how they treat us, although they may not, want to treat us that way, but
Right.
it's just what they know. And it doesn't matter about, education or anything like that. It's all across, socioeconomic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because my mother was a nurse too.
My mother was a nurse too.
So they had some education, so it wasn't that, but it was just it's the time that, they lived in.
Right.
And I don't know if it's so much different now.
Let me take a second just to welcome our guests. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. If you are here with us, just say hello so I know that you're in the room with us. I'm talking with best-selling author Tammi Morrison from the Unchain My Mama anthology. And we're just talking about her chapter in that book and the process to become an author. And this is Teen Talk Live, and this month we are focusing on mother-daughter relationship, and so that's why we're talking about this. If you are here with us, just say hey, show us some love, share this out so that other people can benefit from this conversation, and let us know if you have any questions. So again, this is Ann Dillard with Teen Talk Live, where we transform the lives and minds of teens and those who love them. And I'm so glad that you're here with Tammi and I this evening. So Tammi, tell me about some of the things that you wrote about in your book. Don't give it all away because we want people to buy it and read it. So, but tell me a little bit about what you wrote in your book.
Okay, so my chapter was primarily about how I felt. When I read my chapter again today in preparation for this broadcast, I realized that it was more about how I felt, about the relationship, and it was very challenging to write it because so many things I felt I stuffed, so many things I felt I just, was coping mechanisms. Yes. And I know you know about that.
Oh, yes.
So that was mine. Mine is repression. I have identified that thing. And so my chapter was about how I felt like my mother made me feel.
Okay. Okay. Can you
give me it wasn't good.
Give us an example of how did she make you feel? Did she make you feel like you were the most important person in the world to her? Did she, give us an example, a little bit, not too much, just a little bit of.
Okay, yeah. I felt like she made me feel like nothing was ever good enough. Like, I had to be the best, and, and if I wasn't the best, then, I wasn't anything.
Wow.
That's the way I felt. It's like if you don't get an A+, 100 or whatever, then you might as well, no matter if you got a 95, then you might as well just not have gotten anything. That's how I felt. Wow.
That's powerful. I believe I'm guilty of some of that myself because we really push education in my house, and it's like, could you have gotten an A+?
Right. You got an A? You got an A-? Oh no, that's not good enough.
Right. But I had no clue about the part that if that feeling like nothing if you didn't meet my standard.
Right, exactly. And that was really basically it. I felt like if, and I felt like she was like that with me. I felt like nobody else was she like that. And then I felt like because I'm a free spirit, and my parents weren't together. My biological parents weren't together. So I felt like in that way, I'm like my father. And so I felt like she threw off on me because of that. Wow. So that was another thing that just, I couldn't understand it. I'm like, I'm your child, you know. However, it did influence the way that I raised my children, because I was very conscious of that, and I never wanted my children to feel that way.
Right. Well, what did you do to make sure that your children didn't have that experience?
I was really cautious about, I wanted to encourage them, and I did, and I, encouraged them to do the best that they could. You know what I mean? But I didn't push them to the point where, if they got a 95, I still praised them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They got 100, that's great. They got a 95, I still praised them. I tried real hard to look at them as human beings, individuals, and people that had their own, personality in their own way, mm-hmm. And not just, I felt almost like she wanted me to be a little copy of her.
Right.
And it was a lot of pressure, so I really did not put that pressure on my children. I mean, they felt like I did sometimes, because as they've gotten older, we've had conversation.
Right.
And, but I did not put that pressure on them.
Yeah.
And
that's a hard line. That is a really hard line, because, as a parent who's raised 3 children, it's like, where is the line between the pressure and the expectation?
Yes.
Because I've always thought nobody rises to low expectations. So I've held high expectations for my kids.
Right. But where's the line?
But where is the line between the expectation? And if you're watching and you have the answer to this question, drop it in the comments. Where is the line between the high expectation and the I'm not even sure what line it is. It's such a thin line.
Right. Exactly. And the thing is so as we get older and we realize that there is a line, then we think back on our own parents, because for one thing, just like we were talking earlier, it's a whole different thing in our community. It's a whole other dynamics that are in our community, because one thing we know, that we have to be the best in whatever we do, because the expectations.
Is that the expectations or the pressure though? Or is it both?
Yes.
You have to do 100 plus another 50%.
Exactly. Yes. And we know this. And so this is why we put this pressure on our children, because we know that out there it's going to be that pressure. In the world, there is that pressure,
Right.
So we try not to, we try to find a healthy balance, but we don't really always know what that is.
That's so true. That's so true. But as I hear you say that, then it makes me wonder, where is the safe place for our children? Because if they're feeling the pressure out in the world and they're feeling the pressure in the home, because in the home we're preparing them to be in the world.
Right.
Like, where do they feel at ease? Where do they find rest?
Right.
It makes me curious about that.
Right. And that actually probably would be another good book.
Where do we find rest?
Yes.
You are so right about that. You are so right. And I'm just going to welcome everybody who's here with us. And I see that we have a few folks watching, and just say hello so we know that you are here, and please share this out. This is a very interesting dialogue that I'm having with best-selling author Tammi Morrison from the anthology Unchain Me Mama. And that's available. Tammy's going to drop her link in the comment section once we're done. But if you're here with me tonight, just drop a hello, or give us some love, give us some hearts, so we know that you are enjoying this conversation with us. Yes. So Tammi, what else would you share about this process? What has it done to you, writing, being a part of this anthology? How has that changed you?
Oh my goodness. I actually have thought about this many times before, because as we were promoting the book, and I know I put some of that in, I did some videos, some Facebook Lives and stuff, and I put that in there about how it changed me. And the thing is it allowed me to open up the conversation with myself.
Wow.
Because it's a conversation that you don't really want to have. Because like I said, you repress all those things and you push them down so that you can continue to smile when you go to work, so you don't lash out at people and be evil, and you don't want to be an ABW, right?
That's right.
So,
ABW, hashtag ABW.
So you want to be pleasant, and right. You want to be professional because of the things that we do and stuff like that. And so in order to do that, you repress all that stuff. So the process of writing this book is like you bring all that stuff to the surface, and you have the conversation not only with the audience that you're writing for, but with yourself. Right. And then so you begin to see a lot. It's like an eye-opening experience, because you begin to really understand, and it allows you to be able to be, I don't know, it's like I had a compassion.
Wow.
It's like I developed a compassion that I never really had before, because I started looking at, the relationship that we had and how these things changed me, and so many things I had just forgotten, and I already had started doing a lot of meditation and a lot of deep inner healing work for myself. So in that process, I was able to bring a lot of that stuff up in order to be able to write about it. And actually to be able to see, my mother as a person. And that was another thing, because it's like, she's just my mama, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, she's my mama, but realize that she wasn't just put here to be my mama.
Right.
She has other things that she does, and
too.
Right. A whole nother, thing.
That, what I didn't realize, I don't know, the new system that Facebook has set up doesn't allow me to see the comments. And so I turned to my phone and I'm seeing the comments. Regina said, "Hey, Sister Star Tammi." Hey, Regina, I'm so glad you're here. My brother Kevin say, "Hey, sis, I love you. I love you too, brother." And Patrice said, "Break the cycle." Yes. Hey, Treese, I'm glad.
Yes.
And Manisha said, "I think the line," remember we were talking about the line between pushing and the expectation. She said, "I think the line is in the parent's reaction to the child's performance."
Yes.
And Lord knows I was overboard with my reaction a lot of times. And so, recognizing that and working to change that is so important. And Manisha said, "The safe place may be created before the pressure is applied from birth to 5. That may be where tools and internal motivations are planted and nurtured." So Manisha's my daughter, who was on with us last week, and she's a kindergarten teacher. So she's giving her insight.
She might be right, though. I mean, I really think that's something worth, checking out.
I really think so.
Because when did that happen?
Plus, she's had to live with me, Right. as her mom. And I always, I've often told her, if you can survive living with me, you can survive being in the world,
Right.
And I mean, I don't think I was horrible, but there are things that I definitely could do a lot better as a parent.
Right.
And so, like you said, when you learn better, you do better.
Yes.
And
yes.
so I'm so excited that you're here with us tonight. And I'm so excited about the comments. I'm glad that I found the comments and found the hearts that are going up, because I couldn't see it on my computer screen.
I can't see it either, and I'm looking, so I pulled up my phone too, because that's why I was looking like, okay.
It's this new system that Facebook has going on. So I'm so glad that, the sisters from Unchain Me Mama is here, Regina is here, Treese is here, and it's exciting. It's really exciting, because like I said, I see Unchain Me Mama as the big sister to Unchain My Legacy, which is a continuation to say, how do you then heal and take care of what you've done to make sure that your offsprings, your future, your legacy is protected.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm excited about that.
I can't wait to read Unchain My Legacy, because I'm thinking about what a conversation starter Unchain Me Mama was.
Yes.
And I know that, this is going to like blow up, the conversations, because we need to be having them.
Right. This weekend I was in Minneapolis, and one of my friends said to me, she's like, can we just have coffee or go for a walk without getting it deep? And I'm like, no. No, because we need to have this dialogue, and we need to have these conversations.
Yes.
In a safe place where we can heal and we can, do things differently. It's really not business as usual. We've got to do it better. We've got to do it differently.
Right. Mm-hmm. Because it's about our legacy. It's really about our children.
It really is. And I look at my 3 grandchildren and I'm like, you know what? I don't necessarily want to do all this cleaning the wreckage of my past stuff, but I look at them and I'm thinking they deserve better. They deserve, they deserve the benefit of my wisdom and the benefit of my experience. And so what better way to do it than to share and to clean things up with their parents.
Yes. And did you really feel like maybe if you didn't do it, then it would be selfish?
I think it would be very selfish of me, because through the years, I've gained the tools. I've been in contact with people who have mentored me, people who are in the process of doing their own unchaining and unchaining their legacy. And I think it would be very selfish to pass down my emotional debt to another generation.
Yes, exactly right.
I need to pay my own debt.
Yes.
And not pass that down to, for people to keep trying to pay and then write it off as generational curse. Because
see,
as long as we write it off as generational curse, we can skirt behind it and act like there's nothing I could do about it. My grandmama was this way. My granddaddy was this way. My mama was this way. But we can change those behavioral patterns.
Not only behavioral, I mean, there's so many things we can change. Mm-hmm. We can change our health. It's so many things. And what I have learned is that, as we begin this unchaining process, and as we begin to break the cycle of karmic debt, is what I call it.
Wow.
Because we are stopping, we're saying this stops. This stops with us.
Stops here. Yeah.
It stops here. The buck stops here. So we're going to break this thing. Just because your mama had diabetes don't mean you got to have it. Just because your mama is hypertensive don't mean you got to have it.
That's
It just
right.
means you might need to watch what you eat, and you might need to exercise, and you might to get off that excess weight that you think is cute.
Right.
You
And
know,
the thing about it too is as we do this unchaining, we realize that a lot of those things are not genetic.
yes,
They're more environmental
yes,
than they
yes,
are genetic. And so
yes,
as we unchain and as we heal, we create a different environment where we don't have to eat about stuff that we know we should be addressing.
right, right, exactly. And that is the process that writing this book took me through.
Right, right.
That's the process.
Regina said, yes, Tammy. And Tanya Moore, hey, Unchain My Legacy. Tanya Moore says, I used to like to joke with my daughter, but she clearly didn't find it funny. But when she got less than 100% on anything, I would say something like, what happened? Where were you? Were you ill? Was your teacher, let's see. Was your teacher incompetent? But I would laugh. I so get it. But I think she was so determined to be the best. She put the pressure on herself. Lord knows I didn't get 100%. So I didn't expect her to. I was glad she was smarter than me at her age. Wow. Thanks for sharing that, Tanya. I have certainly asked some of those questions myself and reaching our legacy. Hey, Nicole, I'm so glad you're here. And Colette, thanks for joining us tonight. We're talking with best-selling author Tammi Morrison from the Anthology by visionary author Audra R. Upchurch, Unchain Me Mama. And that's the big sister to Unchain My Legacy that's coming out next month. So thank you for joining us, and put in the comment and let us know that you're enjoying us. And if you have any questions for author Tammi Morrison, drop them in the comments, and we'll continue to talk just a little bit longer. So Tammi, what else do you want people to know about this process? Would you do it again?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it was so freeing. You know, it set me free. It unleashed or unchained me. It unchained me. And it opened up my mind to so many possibilities, because as I began to unchain myself and also unchain my mama.
Wow.
You know, because when we're chained, you know, they're chained too.
That's so true.
You know, but as I began to unchain, it unchained her. And then it also, you know, our relationship had gotten better, but it also improved our relationship because she actually read the book.
Oh, really? What was her response?
She was like, yeah, you know, yeah, I realized this and that, but, you know, but I wasn't really sure about that. And, you know, because we had talked about a lot of this stuff.
Right.
You know, and we had ironed out a whole lot, because we had like a yelling, screaming fest a few years ago.
Wow. Wow.
You know, yelling, screaming, crying, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, so she did know about a lot of it, but she didn't know my take on some of why she was like she was like.
Right.
You know,
and you know, that's a very important conversation, because a lot of it I kept buried, and a lot of it my daughter said she didn't know why I was like the way I was like, you know, because I didn't feel like it was my place to, for lack of a better word, burden her with that. I need to present a different front, for lack of a better word.
That's very important.
You know?
Yes.
And I didn't know. I was just repeating stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Or, you know, a lot of times we try so hard to be different that, you know, we're not.
I know. Try so hard without intentional skills and intentionality. And it ends up being that we do different damages or the same damage.
Right. Exactly.
And so even in the book Unchain My Legacy, in the back of it, I talked about 10 awarenesses that I developed in Unchaining My Legacy with my daughter. And I think it's really important that we get a process, because people might be listening and say, well, how do I even begin?
Right.
Where do I start?
Right.
And so to be able to offer suggestions on how to walk through this, I think is very important.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not an easy process.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, woo, it's like you got to walk the line. You just have to, for lack of a better way to say it, you just have to go for it. You have to just begin to have that conversation. And, people don't like to hear it, but you have to have it with yourself first.
Yeah.
Whether you write it out, whether you talk it out, people have different ways that they deal with that, but you have to have the conversation with yourself, and then you have to have the conversation.
Wow. That is so important. Like I said, I'm glad I had my circle of friends who I could bounce things off, who could reassure me. And one of my friends told me something really, really important. She said, hear it from where you were, understand it from where you are when you're having that conversation.
That's good. That is really good.
Or I think it might have been reversed. Hear it from where you are as a 40-something-year-old woman, but understand it from where you were as a 20-year-old. What did you understand at that age?
Right. And we evolve.
And we learn and we grow. Yes. And so that's why I think it would be selfish to have attained the knowledge and some sort of know-how and leave it the way it is.
Yes, absolutely selfish, because we are not just put here to just live this life. We all have a purpose, and most of us have more than one. So one of our purposes, because I even asked God one time before, not only what is my purpose, but what is my purpose, number one, as a Black woman, number two, as a mother. And then I asked my purpose as a daughter.
Wow. Yeah.
So when you ask these questions, you have to expect, and you set the intention to get answers to them.
That's good. That's good stuff. Yes, Regina, hear it from where you are and understand it from where you were. That was such freeing information for me. Yes. Because, if you don't forgive yourself first, that's another thing that could eat you up.
Oh, yes.
That could eat you up, because if I think about all the different things that I could say, and my children could say, that I did wrong as a mother, that I didn't make the mark with as a mother. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that could get overwhelming. But if I use these concepts of hearing it from where I am, but understanding it from where I was,
right,
that gives me so much freedom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I just want to say to other people, other mothers who are on their unchaining journey, that's critical.
Yes.
To hear it from where you are, understand the journey, understand what's being shared from where you were. Because it's two different places and it's two different sets of circumstances that you're dealing with.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Because the thing is we have to forgive ourselves. Not only that, we have to have compassion for us, because, if we don't have compassion and love on us through the forgiveness, because, forgiveness is even not easy. you know, and just like you said, it'll eat you up. And I mean, I'm talking about literally.
That's
You
right.
know, forgiveness is one of the roots of cancer.
Yeah.
Unforgiveness and bitterness is roots of cancer. You know, so, and you think about it, it's not only cancer in your mind, but in your body.
Yes.
You know, so you have to, yes. So you have to let that stuff go, you know, and you have to, you know, you hold yourself accountable with compassion.
With compassion. That is so important, because in one of my dialogues this weekend, you know, with the women I chose to have these conversations with, one of them said, I have developed so much compassion for my mother. And she's like, there's just so much compassion there. And I'm like, that is such a gift, with compassion.
Yes.
As I think about the title of my book that's coming out, Unchain My Legacy, it seemed like I could say, Unchain My Legacy, Unchain My Health.
Oh, wow. Yes. Yes.
Because you let that stuff go and there's such a better chance of you being healthy.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Because those things do create all types of diseases and conditions, you know, they really do. And the more I learn about the, can't even think of what I'm trying to say, but the relationship between the diseases and how you think and how you feel and, you know, all this kind of stuff, it just makes so much sense.
Yes.
You know, to forgive, to have compassion, to see things in a whole nother light, you know, and try to, you know, look at the situations that, you know, we deal with, that we've dealt with in these books, Unchain Me Mom and Unchain My Legacy, and just say, oh, you know what? I'm just going to love it. I'm going to love on it. I'm going to love on me. I'm going to love on my family. I'm going to love on my mama. You know, I'm going to love on my children. I'm just going to love on it.
Wow. Wow. That is so, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. And, you know, when we look at the disparities and we talk about your purpose for being a black woman, we look at the disparities in the Black community, and we look at the direct correlation in what are we talking about. You know, how we're told, don't you say nothing that's happening in this house. Don't talk about this. Don't talk about that. Our parents aren't talking about some of the issues with us. Not everybody, but a large percentage of us. And I look at that correlation and then wonder, you know, how that directly correlates with our health disparities.
Yes, absolutely.
Our emotional disparities is I would venture to say, is a direct correlation with our health disparities.
And I think that's absolutely the truth. You know, working in the field that I work in, I see it all the time. You know, and we, even when you, okay, so like when we're admitting somebody and we ask certain questions, well, culturally, we don't tell the truth about everything.
That's right.
You know, unless you have somebody that's going, tell them the truth, you know, tell them what you feel like, tell them what, you know, what happens. We just don't tell the truth about stuff like that.
That's
and
right.
I don't think we like intend to lie, but it's just, it's a cultural thing that we do, you know, and
it's a mistrust, and that comes down the line of historical trauma.
Yes, 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 yes.
It's a great mistrust.
Yes.
And in some cases, rightfully so, but that's, you know, by not telling the truth. You know, like my father, for example, when I took care of him, I would take him to the doctor and he wouldn't answer the doctor's questions correctly.
Right.
And the doctors could clearly see that he's not being truthful, and they would call me. But there's a huge mistrust there.
Yes. Yes.
And so that's another contribution to historical trauma.
Right. Exactly. And this is what we have to break. And this is why we're here, to break that cycle,
Absolutely.
because it's time.
Absolutely. Well, talk about time. Our time is winding down, and I'm so glad that you are here. Joseph, my husband, says another great topic, another great conversation. And, I'm just excited to have these conversations so that we can make it better for our children. Our teens are suffering, and they're suffering in silence, and we need to unchain our legacy so that they can have hope.
Yes.
They can have a sense of belongingness, and they can have some kind of peace. Hi, Anita. Thank you for joining. And so I'm just so glad that you took the time to be here with me. And we're looking for another bestseller with Unchain My Legacy, right?
Yes, I'm so excited about that.
We're looking for another bestseller. And Tammi, as we wrap up with our audience, we have 9 people here. Hey, I just want to ask you all, as you come in on the replay, to share this out so other people can benefit from this conversation. We need to have more of these dialogues in our community. Hi, Julie. Glad you're here with us. We need to continue to have these dialogues in our community. Tammi, I want you to tell people how they can find you.
Okay, you can find me on Facebook at www.facebook.com/unleashingyourtrueself. And I also have a group that you can join, Live Your Truth, where we share positivity and we have discussions, we do meditations. As a matter of fact, I just did a 21-day meditation challenge that was amazing. Wow. People got so clear. They were able to actually continue and persist in the meditations, and it was just amazing.
Wow. Thank you so much. And when we're done, if you would just drop your contact information in the comments and let people know how they can purchase your book, Unchain Me Mama. Drop that link, your purchase link, in the comment, and that would be amazing. And I want to challenge you all to get in on the pre-sale of Unchain My Legacy. This week, we're having a pre-sale of Unchain My Legacy. And if you buy a book between now and May 31st, you'll get a free electronic journal to go along with that book. So please buy the books, have these conversations, and just promote better living, better relationships, and better health in our community. I'm so glad you all were here with us. Again, my name is Ann Dillard, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I serve teens, and we work to transform the lives and minds of teens and those who love them. And I'm so delighted to have my special guest, Tammi Morrison, best-selling author of Unchain Me Mama, here with us tonight. Tammi, do you have any closing remarks for our audience?
I just really want to thank everybody for showing up, and thank Ann for inviting me on her show, because it's just been remarkable. Every time I talk about this book, it opens up just new conversations. And if you haven't gotten the book Unchain Me Mama, please do so. I'll leave the link in the comments. Also, thank you so much for inviting me here, and thank you for just opening the door to the conversation. And I'm so excited about Unchain My Legacy and can't wait. I'm gonna go ahead and get my copy too.
Yes. Look, let me drop my link so you buy it from my link.
All right.
Thank you all so much for joining us, and make sure you pick up your copy of Unchain Me Mama and Unchain My Legacy. Good night, everyone.